Ken Fulham, the voice of Windham. We are back live on WILI 1495.3 FM every Thursday. I am the voice of Windham, and my co-host, everyone knows who he is. Everyone loves who he is. He's the man of Windham. He's the heart of Windham. He is Mark Doyle from the Board of Education, my friend, my partner, my mentor.
Mentor, absolutely.
Oh, my God, yeah. Okay, that's enough, Mark. Anyway, we have another special show tonight.
Worth there.
Excuse me? Can you, we're in front of educators. How about
sorry.
trying a little manners? A little manners.
Hey.
Okay. So we have some very, very special guests today, as we always do every Thursday at 4 o'clock. And, once again, they are from the Windham Public School District that Mark and I are so proud and happy to support and communicate through their staff members and their students what's going on in your school district, right? And so the theme of today is the importance of bilingualism, cultural competence, and strong relationships with families in the Windham Public Schools. Our guests today, and now they'll talk for themselves in a few minutes. Mark will start with some questions after. Beth Brunet, the Executive Director of Equity and Multilingual Education in Family and Community Engagement. That's a title. Along with her, she brought two great folks. We've got Diana Lopez, who's the family liaison from Windham High School, and one of my new friends, and I didn't know he was a huge fan, Antonio Lopez, who teaches at the second grade level, the Compañeros dual language teacher of the Spanish component. What do you think about that?
The voice? What? Of course, I am ready to be the voice of Windham.
Antonio has brought a lot of enthusiasm already to this show,
Yes.
but we've got a lot of content to cover. So why don't we get into that right away?
Antonio, did it hurt when Ken hit you?
No, he didn't.
I'm glad no one's watching this live because he's a nice guy, but I mean
We rehearsed that for 5 minutes.
We rehearsed it here, So we're going to be talking about, the first thing we're going to be talking about is bilingual education in the Windham Public Schools. Welcome again, because Beth has been on our show before, a wonderful team member up at the administration level here in Windham Public Schools. Take it away, Beth.
Sure, thanks for having us. Just start from scratch. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you always invite us in to talk about, I think, some of our unique programs that other districts don't necessarily have, and that would be our dual language programs. And I'm not sure what subtopics we want to talk about, but I think I would mostly like to highlight that our dual language programs really value the assets that our students bring to school with them. Rather than looking at, students or families from a deficit kind of view, we really celebrate the linguistic repertoire between English and Spanish, sometimes Quiche, sometimes other languages, that they bring with them to the classroom, as well as their cross-linguistic and cross-cultural knowledge.
So I say this a lot in my world is different than education these days. But it's the differentiator between us and many of the local communities. We embrace all the different cultures in our community, not saying that they don't, but we try to enhance it, take advantage of it, because everyone learns from each other and can learn to respect each other, make this world, and like I said, we care about our community at this point and make our town that much better.
Maybe we get just a quick synopsis of the difference between our bilingual programs and the Compañeros program, because there's that fact, and the fact that Compañeros is a you have to get, we have a lottery for the program.
Yep.
Is that still going on, the lottery?
Yeah. Yep.
We should announce that as well.
Yeah, we should probably differentiate between a lot of districts provide a type of bilingual education. It's called transitional bilingual education. It takes many forms, but it's a more limited form of bilingual education in that it typically is for the first 30 months or 3 school years, sometimes a little bit longer for a student's education or first time that they're learning in English. What we offer here in Windham is highly different from that. It is dual language bilingual education. What that means is under this Connecticut state statute, we are actually allowed to, dual language education is actually allowed to continue beyond the 30 months. And that means that the program intentionally develops students' first and second language, whether in whichever direction that is, English and Spanish, all throughout their career. So we offer dual language education right now, preschool to grade 8, but those programs do differ. So we could talk a little about the different programs. We offer only dual language education, really, with the exception of some bilingual support, for example, at STEM, at the Charles Barrow STEM Academy. Because they don't have a dual language program, we offer bilingual support and ESL.
Traditionally, as I recall, the bilingual program traditionally was to support the children in their native language until they learned English,
Right.
not to help support them continuing in their native language.
Right.
Whereas the Compañeros program was to support both the Hispanic and the Anglo children to be sufficient in both languages.
Right, we want to achieve maximum proficiency, the highest level of proficiency possible in dual language education in both languages by the time they graduate and across content areas. Whereas the transitional bilingual ed, yes, is more limiting and it tends to be more subtractive in that students can use their native language at the beginning, but then they slowly transition to more and more English.
Okay.
So-
We've got a pretty abbreviated show because of the baseball game, and so I want to go right and get into the next segment, which is really about Antonio. I want to know what. Woo, see, he is. He may just be my new partner going
Wow.
forward. He loves the voice. I love it.
Listen to that. I'm ready.
You're ready. You could be, the voice of Windham Public Schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his name is Antonio Lopez, and like I said, he teaches second grade in the Spanish component of
Compañeros.
Compañeros program. And, there's I thought about this and I came up with a great question.
Wow, on your own?
We like it.
So you see students every day and you're seeing them growing in two languages and building their pride and identity. How do you see that? How does that impact you? And then, Beth, just follow up with, we were talking about, after that, following up on hiring of Antonio and what it means to develop our own educators.
Sure.
So, time to brag a little
All
bit,
right.
Antonio. Let's
So,
hear about these kids.
I'm on
And
a-
yourself.
Okay. So, yeah, that's a great question. I'm gonna start by saying how, at the beginning of the year, because like you said, I teach second grade.
Which building are you at? North Windham?
I'm a North Windham
North Windham.
compañeros. Yeah, we have a compañeros program is at North Windham.
Right, yeah.
But it is first of all, it's amazing to see day one into the school year in second grade. It's a totally different environment. Students are crying. It's not. Sometimes they're crying in day one and second grade because they're like, oh, I only have to speak Spanish. I only have to do Spanish. And it's hard for them. The transition from going to first grade into second grade is not easy.
So I don't get it backwards because I'm not Mark Doyle. I'm not that smart.
Okay.
So when they say you teach the Spanish components, you're taking the kids that speak Spanish and you're teaching them. No, you're taking the kids that know English and you're teaching
No,
them Spanish.
taking all of them.
We take all of them. So we have, the classroom is 50-50%. So
Right,
we
that's
have,
like,
it's a mix of students and
Right,
we
but
take them all.
one day they only teach in Spanish, and one day they only teach in
okay.
English.
Almost.
No.
No.
We
No,
do.
sit down, Mark.
We do half a day in Spanish, and then we switch groups. And then my partner teacher, the English component teacher, takes the group that I had in the morning, and they learn in English, and I teach Spanish to the other group. So we have two groups right now. We have 42 students. Hi to all the students in Windham.
When you say that, but half of the students are non-Spanish speakers and the other half are non-English speakers. per
Kind
se.
of. But they're all mixed. So
Okay.
So
It's mixed.
It's
so
mixed,
right.
yes,
So
it's mixed.
the lottery we can take up to like 22 per class, but 44 for the grade,
Okay.
right? And then we balance out 2 homerooms
Okay.
mixed up with native English speakers, native Spanish speakers,
Perfect, okay.
and some emerging bilinguals who are already speaking both languages at home. We mix them all up, balance them all out, so there's 2 equal groups. But what his job is to teach in the Spanish component all
got you.
day.
I got it.
But he teaches the 2 groups alternating.
So you speak too of the pride, okay? Not being, of Hispanic heritage, right? I'm from, I get Irish in me and I get Syrian in me, right? And I know, again, my family, I'm a second generation, so I get it. Dad spoke and the mom spoke with, my uncles and aunts who were all Syrian. I learned a few Syrian words and phrases. So that's so that's the pride. Like they had to lose. Like when my father-in-law was Italian, they slapped the Italian out of him. It wasn't a public school, by the way, for him, because we don't hit them in public schools. But they. So I want to, can you get any example stories of the pride that you see being developed in a young Spanish kid, whatever Dominican, Puerto Rican. I don't care where they're from.
And it's not only on the Hispanic students; it's in every single student in the
Okay.
classroom. So we picture learning two languages because
Yep.
learning two languages is not at
difficult.
the same. It's hard. We see it as a superpower. That's the motivation that they have. Like, oh, I'm learning another language. I'm learning into languages. I have a superpower, and
It is.
That's like we try to sell it like that, and you can see as the year progresses, you can see those students who were not as strong in Spanish now having conversations, writing in Spanish. So that is eventually they're able to speak Spanish with a better vocabulary or using an academic vocabulary that the parents had no idea that their kids would be able to. And that is, to me, the motivation that I have as a Spanish teacher in Compañeros. Seeing all my students, and I'm speaking all, growing up and having conversations in other language and in other language than English, in this case in Spanish.
To me, that's amazing. Again, that's the craft. I always call teaching a craft, and that's got to be, boom.
Yeah.
As a never mind your pay, that's got to be a gift that you must get every day when you see that. Beth, this is not on your thing here, but my question,
I'm good off the cuff. Go ahead. Yes.
Well, it's a question. 'Cause it just
On a
came to
brief
mind.
outline.
When things can pop in my head, because I get curious.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you go through K through 8 with the program like this.
Yeah.
Why not carry it through the high school? I know there's foreign languages because colleges want to see that in you. Why not carry it? Because he said superpower.
You thought of this question on your own? I feel like I fed it to you. We've been talking about ninth grade for a long time.
Well, never mind ninth grade. How
Yep.
about 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't want what happened to generations before that. The Hispanic population became a dominant immigrants coming in,
Yep.
right? And whether you're Polish, German, Italian, whatever, they
Lose their
Italian,
language.
they discouraged the language at home. Families kept traditions quiet. Now there's civic clubs, etc. But to go as far as the 8th grade and not carry it all the way through K through 12,
Yeah.
kind of, I know there's budget. I'm not going to get into the money.
It's less about budget actually and more about programmatic structure and
Right.
readiness.
Yeah.
I
I
think
was
it's
going to say you
important.
have to think about in the K through 8. They're in one room basically, but when you
Yeah.
get to high school, now you're going to different classes,
true.
and
Well,
Logistically,
they're
it
in
would be
one
nightmare.
room, one room with one teacher doing multiple subject areas, so to
Right.
speak, except for
I get you.
Compañeros partners. But that's through 5th grade. Our 6th through 8 actually are set up in a way, they're on a team model. So we have 5 subject area teachers in grade 6 and 5 in grade 7 and 5 in grade 8 and 5 classes of kids. The two programs, Dos Rios and Compañeros, come together. They merge together for grade 6. You can't sustain 2 different programs.
So as a professional, do you think going K through 8 in our town, which is great, it's a fantastic opportunity, whether you're learning Spanish or learning English and vice versa, that they've learned enough where they can maintain it for, I know they
Yes.
could.
I mean, our
is
students-
that enough to keep them going through college,
our
let's say?
Compañeros graduates in 8th grade can maintain their proficiency
Good,
and level of
okay.
English. It's up to them now, right? And in the
Sure,
high school
sure.
give offerings, whatever high school they attend. But they could, with world language classes, continue their proficiency and keep and maintain it.
That's
at a
why I
high
asked,
level.
because I remember
But-
years ago, when the kids, I never when you're born and you're speaking English, not good like me, but when you're coming over from an island somewhere, let's say Dominican or what have you, and your parents are bringing you for a better situation, you hope, or for whatever reason, and you haven't even mastered your own language. That was the most difficult part for me to grasp. I mean, when they're coming, you don't realize how young they are when some of these folks are coming over, their children, and how the hell are they going to learn English when they haven't even mastered their own language, their native tongue?
Yeah, I think that's
why I'm concerned
there's-
about it not lasting. This is a lifetime skill. And
There's
Antonio's
major
teaching.
advantages to the two-way program,
Yeah.
right? The Compañeros program, and that's that we're simultaneously developing both languages, whichever one is the first or the second to the child, and that we're attempting to maintain or grow proficiency at the highest level for as long as possible. That is not done in traditional bilingual programs or transitional programs. But I would like to return to, like, we've talked more and more about ninth grade. And I say ninth just because we need a place to launch, and ninth would be is really a great grade to focus on. But you need a little time to launch. It used to be be that certifications, program structure, course offerings, that all sort of limited us to launching at the high school level. But now there are different secondary certifications that have allowed us to become much more creative in how we structure a program. There really is no reason why we can't do it now in Windham, except that we need time to really sit with a committee and launch and think about all of the pieces. As you mentioned, compañeros, the lottery program, when we merged those two programs in middle school, we had to revise our policy a little bit to make sure that we still left seats for late entry. We do a late entry lottery along with the kindergarten lottery for higher grade levels. And we also left seats open for new arrivals who need to be able to access a bilingual program, and dual language is what we offer. So we would need some time to restructure policy, program, right? Certifications, teaching,
Well, you're
staff.
young.
Yep. Sure. All right. I feel old today, but yes.
I can tell you from
She's young, right?
I can tell you from a personal experience, because my son went through the compañeros program. My youngest son went through the compañeros program. When they get to that, not all children, but when they get to that 6th, 7th grade level, they want to mingle with the other kids. They've been with the same cohort of kids for their 1 through 8th grade, and they get to the high school or they get to the middle. Now they really want to get in with the rest of the school system. So there is I don't know, Beth, if
That's
you've
a huge
seen
advantage
this.
to our middle grades
Yeah.
model right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that these kids really want to mingle with the regular.
Right. So our 2 compañeros classes from 5th and our 3 Dos Trinos classes are all actually integrated for 6th grade. And then we rebalance them all. So instead of having to stay with the same 2 groups of kids all the way through 8th grade, right? Now they have 5 classes of kids that they now are interspersed with and they move subject to subject with. So
Yeah.
it is a nice social change for them.
Exactly. So Beth, like I said, we are doing something abbreviated, but I do want to jump to a question because sounds like it's your baby, right? So in order to have a great program, you have to have staff and staff development, homegrown, if you will. If I asked Antonio, and I will right now, how happy are you at Windham Public Schools?
Oh, I am happy.
This is your home?
This is my home. I live
Okay.
here. I have a kid who first of all, I'm a whippet. I graduated from Windham High School.
There you go.
So I have a son who is a compañero student. He is right now Windham Tech, but he did the compañeros program, and I think I consider myself having a little advantage over some of the other teachers that work in the Windham because I went through these programs. So I went to the transitional bilingual program when I came from Mexico as a high school student, not knowing a single word in English, and probably not knowing everything about my native language. So I was struggling learning the language.
Yeah. I'll tell you, and I think I've told Mark this story 150 times, but we've got to get back to Beth really quick. 'Cause sometimes my stories really spin out of.
We'll have to get back to our other guests.
Well,
That's
she
second
is.
part.
She's,
Yeah, we're
she's
gonna
coming
get
right up. Don't you? I got it all
I'm
the time.
worried. I have to make sure we are fair to everybody.
Well, we will be when we get to her
All right.
topic.
Right.
But my kids played soccer up at the all 3 played soccer at the high school.
Really?
Oh, really? What year? Because I played soccer 3 years.
Well, the oldest is 37, so I couldn't tell you what year. Anyway,
Oh, he
30
was-
was 37.
Oh, probably. We
30
played together. See?
They
Small
played
world.
How old are you?
Wow. On air?
Young.
You're young.
I'm young.
But anyway, we'll ask him. But anyway, what I'm getting at was, because he mentioned how he didn't know a word of English.
Yep.
This kid
Yeah.
came in, as a chairman of the board back then. This kid came in, and as a freshman, by the time he graduated our school, I don't know what he did outside of school. We say play some sports and probably had a job and whatnot. Spoke perfect English. And I got to know him fairly well. He used to have pasadenas at the. This kid went on to become a doctor in America,
Yep.
and then moved. His goal was to go back to Mexico, which he did, to be a doctor for his community. I mean, to learn this language in that short a time,
Yep.
that was to me it was impressive.
Yeah.
So Beth, how are you finding staff like a guy like Antonio, and developing them into obviously a very talented educator?
Yeah, we have
Thank you.
a few pathways that we use to fill all of our dual language teacher positions. But in Antonio's case, I really like to highlight these kinds of cases. As Antonio just said, he came as a high school student. He was a Windham High School graduate. He went on to college. He was a Spanish major, so he earned his bachelor's degree, and he landed in my office looking for his first job in public education. And he started
Still
out as a...
remember that.
Yeah, me too. It's our first year, actually, both in Windham Public Schools. And it was 2011. And he started out as a para, quickly transitioned to a tutor, and over the years, just slowly kept moving up. So he, and I don't mean like that every job is like one is above the other, but he kept moving up and towards certification, right? So he moved from para to tutor to long-term sub to a permitted teacher under a temporary permit while he was taking his elementary education preparation program. And then after that, he did the bilingual portion that prepares him for the bilingual certificate. And we earned, I think we talked about earning a couple other additional certificates that are available in world language and secondary bilingual ed. And so Antonio's sort of like the kind of...
Poster child.
yeah, really, a poster child for...
Not an easy journey.
It's
Not
like-
an easy journey.
like
Very
easy.
hard.
Yeah.
It's like being like a host on a radio show. I'm the poster child.
You are. The both of you sitting together is
Yeah.
quite the picture, yes.
The voice.
The
It's all
voice.
about
voice.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
Doyle.
he's really a classic story.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sort of he had to do the whole pathway, right? And so him talking about his experience, it wasn't easy. I mean, that's something we wanted to highlight, like especially when you're working and doing ed prep programs. It is exhausting, right? There's bilingual education certificates require more credits than most other certificates, right? 30 in elementary ed and another 18 in bilingual. So it's not a joke at all. And you're on your own time and dime usually, unless there's some kind of there happens to be some kind of tuition assistance or something, and that isn't always the case.
And that's one of the things we try in Windham Education. We do try and promote or advance our aides and our people,
Well,
people
it's,
up.
the people, they know the building, they know the staff, they can assimilate quicker.
Yeah.
Beth, why don't you jump in now and talk about the family liaison and community engagement and thing, and let's bring in
That girl.
no, Diana Lopez is now Diana works up at the high school. She knows the voice's husband because once you know the voice, you don't want to know anybody else. But
That's 'cause-
let's get Beth right into it. Talk about what that is, and then Diana, just jump right in. Talk about yourself, what your feelings are, how the program's going for you, and what you like. You sort of take what Antonio takes away from it. I'd like to hear
Sure.
from you as well. So
Yes.
go for it, Beth.
Yeah, so I was trying to think about, there's major connections between these two departments. And the major connections are the value of bilingualism, the relationships with families and students, the necessity really to have some cultural competence with our families, and our staff. And so I wanted to highlight both departments. I was given the gift and challenge of a second department this year. And so Diana happens to work in the department I've just acquired sort of in July officially. So that's the family and community engagement department. Family liaisons are the staff members in that department, along with Desiree Parsiak, who does our after-school programs, before and after-school programs. And so that department, those smaller in staff, so I have about 80 in the EME department, and a much smaller staff, about 7 or 8 or so in the FACE department, but does an extraordinary amount of work.
And you have that in every school building. Right?
That's
the family
correct.
liaison, right?
Yeah, a family liaison in every building, or in a couple of cases are shared between buildings. And so Diana's at the high school now, and I mean, in terms of the major work that we do, it's really like the direct contact with families, particularly when the families don't understand processes or procedures in schools, especially we kind of help out there. We do a lot of home visits, and we are responsible for some of the major district-wide community and family engagement events. So I'll let Diana talk a little bit about the department.
Yeah, so as family liaisons, we also are available to help parents during interpretations, during parent-teacher conferences, or any other sort of meetings that they might have when they come into the school. The high school right now has a lot of teachers who do speak Spanish or administrators who speak Spanish, but other schools, I was previously at Barrows as a family liaison, and I did a lot of interpretation there. But as far as parent-teacher conferences, there are always parents who, because I do a lot of the scheduling parent-teacher conferences for the high schoolers, so when I do help the parents, there are parents who tell me on the phone, "Oh, I'm going to need someone to translate for me," and I always tell them, "I'll be there for you." So that's thing that we always do for the parents as well. But like Beth mentioned, we do the community events. That's something that I think, as stressful and chaotic as it is one of my favorite things to do for the community. We do the Three Kings, which is a very big event, and we do the Family and Community
That's
Expo.
part of your engagement, yeah.
And the families love it. They're always very well attended events. But I think that Three Kings event is one of my favorite events.
It's huge.
It's
What's
huge.
what's your really quickly your because of the time wise personal journey? There's a question. What is the personal journey that you can explain? And are you guys siblings? Is that what I'm reading?
we really
Sister.
set up.
We are.
Yeah, she's
That's
my
your
sister. Yeah.
That's my brother.
Can you believe that? Well,
Wow.
Well, no. okay.
We're kind of twins. We look
yeah,
alike a
everyone
lot.
says that we're twins. That we look like. Maybe.
Yep.
Does she love the voice of Wyndham as much as you do?
I don't know.
Let's
We
ask
gotta
her,
think
do you
about
love
that.
the voice of
Think
Windham?
about it.
Think about it.
Antonio's going to be my second. Let's get back quickly. Let's get back to your personal journey.
That's
How
right.
did you become?
Don't forget the HR
So
director.
I started working for the school district in 2009 after I graduated high school. And I started in the after-school program over at Sweeney as a program assistant. And then when Perros opened, back when Mr. Stover was still here, he kind of sent me
Stover.
over
The great Bill
to...
Stover, yes.
He sent me over to STEM Academy, and I started the after-school program there. So I always say that's my baby. I started that program with like 35 kids. I had 70 at some point. So I was the after-school coordinator for 10 years over at Barrows, and then I transitioned to the family liaison position. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years. And it was not hard, but I kind of was iffy about transitioning because I had a really hard time letting go of the after school program. I created a lot of relationships with parents, kids. Some of the kids I had in the after school program at Barrows are high schoolers now. So I get to see them now. And actually, I have a relationship with them where whenever I need volunteers, I know I can count with them.
That's the tough part of being in education, saying goodbye, but it's not forever. Hopefully you see
It's
them down the
not
road and they
forever.
come to see you when they're in school or in their workforce. Beth, can you quickly wrap up? I know you wanted some messages and say hello to some of the families and the children. That's fine with me. Go right ahead and knock that out.
Yeah, I was going to give these guys an opportunity to shout out their family and their students. I thought it would be great to bring a brother-sister pair. I think there's a few things I'd like to highlight. I think you did talk about like the bilingual programs as my baby, but really there's been a tremendous number of people involved in the establishment of the program, whether it was the committee that first established it. I mean, we've talked about Jean Romano, Ann Anderberg, Nivea Torres. We're talking about Aradna, Mark Doyle.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And he was on the parent committee actually that established the
Oh, I didn't know
program.
that.
Yeah, I
Yep.
know. I've heard it 150
times, yeah,
I
okay.
know. Big
You
deal.
know, Radha Madumbai, we've had Karen Lappick and myself twice.
Karen, yeah.
So we really had a great number of directors that Amy Finsmith is really our in-house expert. She just earned quite a big award at the MABE conference this past weekend that we hosted. So we really have a great number of players who have contributed to this program. I think I brought these two with me today to highlight the nature of family and relationships.
Very important relationships, especially.
Well, it is. Listen, and that's what we hope we're accomplishing here today,
Yep.
right? Is to establish a relationship. And I'm sorry I didn't go the number 4. It's kind of late now, but to establish the relationship of not only just what's going on at the school, because people we're very focused on the budget. Don't let any of these jokes and shows fool you. That's our goal. And so we want people to know what's actually going on in those 4 walls that they paid for, they support, they pay your salaries, and so knowing what's going on is one thing. Knowing the people. Brother and sister parents who came here and have done well and love our districts, which means they love the children, and that's all that matters to me.
They were students, they were staff, they're becoming teachers, right? And that's important.
And that's all we care about. I'm going to quickly say to Diana Lopez and Antonio. Oh, and my buddy Antonio, I'm blanking on your last name. Lopez.
They're
Super
siblings.
Lopez.
Okay.
Brother and sister, huh?
And-
Super Lopez, like
right.
my students say.
Okay,
Super
and
Lopez.
to Beth.
Beth Lopez. No, I'm just kidding.
Beth
Their mother
Burnett.
would maybe adopt me
I
after
always,
this, but who
Mark
knows?
and I really, listen,
Yeah.
we love to have a good time, but we
Yeah.
also know that it's time away from, you're off work, off duty.
And I do want to give a
Thank
shout out
you.
quickly just to Bill Stover. Bill Stover and I were created the before and after school program task force. which allowed us to bring a lot of money in
Hi, Bill.
so that these people could do their programming.
So we got great people that are in those buildings. And we ask for your support. Next week we're going to have a huge musical component for the Art and Expo Festival that's coming up, and we're going to leave it with a little Irish music and a shout out to my buddy Dennis O'Brien. Have a green beer on Tuesday. Everyone celebrates St. Patrick's Day.
Hit that
Carlos and I.
We're gonna be there.
Antonio and I. I'm sorry.
The voice is gonna be
The
there.
voice is going to be there. We're going to have some corned beef.
Yeah, we are.
Not your sister, because she.
No,
you know.
she didn't want. She doesn't want
Yeah,
to,
she
but I'll
wanted-
be there.
She didn't want to participate.
Yeah, she
That's
didn't want to-
okay.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.